All right, welcome back to Savage Bowling TV. It's Chad Lester here with Mike Aulby. Can you hear me okay, Mike?
I got you, Chad.
Good, good. It seems like forever since we've done a live stream.
Anything for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's good to be here today.
Last time we were on the air was in January, the end of January for the Masters, and we were supposed to be, actually it was high school state finals.
Right, right.
And then we were supposed to be on the air for the Queens on March 13th, and we were shut down.
That was about the time it hit.
Yep.
Well, not hit, but about the time that all got shut up for a while.
Yeah. So what you're watching now is the round of 25. We only have two pair of lanes that you can see on this stream. It's lanes 19 through 22. And kind of how this format works is there was two qualifying squads yesterday. They bowled 4 games. They took 1 in 5 of the total entries from yesterday, made it to today. They had a qualifying squad this morning, which some of you might have seen earlier. They took 1 in 5 from that squad, and now we're in the round of 29. There's actually 26 bowlers bowling, I believe. 3 bowlers got a bye. And I'm going to just go through the list of bowlers bowling. I took a picture of it with my phone. The bowlers with the bye, Jeff Grigo, Matt Sanders, and Zach Tackett. And then bowling is Brett Boho, Ben Caldwell, Terry Carlisle, Cameron Clark, Danny Clark, Jimmy Cook II, Zachary Cook, Chris Cundiff, Scott Gilmore, our very own Scott Gilmore.
Scott's right in front.
Yeah,
He got that bright gold shirt on. Is that a Purdue gold? Is that what that is?
It might be. I think that's why he got that shirt,
Yeah.
probably. Hunter Glaze, Scott Johnson, Scotty Kramer III, Tim Logan, Jeff Mann, Simon Moat, Zach Newman, Gene Perez, Michael, I'm going to say Rachel. It's Rachel. If I said it wrong, I'm sorry. Zach Rhodes, John Riffle, Scott Schmall, Chris Saferth, Jacob Sisk, William Story, Mark Sullivan, E.J. Tackett, and Noel Vega. So how this is going to work, they're going to bowl 2 games, and I believe they cut in half. Not sure how many. There's 26 bowling. Maybe they're going to 13. And then they'll have the other 3 bowlers join in the next round. So really you just have to survive to make to the next round.
Well, even that with this round, the names you listed, I mean, this truly is the best of the best in Indiana. I mean, they're here today. I mean, it's what a great list, great players.
Yeah, and I believe Matt Sanders was our overall leader. He shot over 1,000 yesterday in the first squad. And I believe he was the overall leader last year, and he beat last year's score. Let me bring that up.
Yeah, some great players out there. I mean, the Tacketts and it's just Matt Sanders. A lot of PBA credibility out there, and Indiana is represented real well. But they've all shown up today, and they've all bowled well. Mark Sullivan bowled a great, I think, 240 the last game to get in, and it's just it's a great group of players out there.
Yeah, Matt Sanders had 10-16 for 4 games, plus 216.
He was pretty relaxed here earlier. That explains why.
Yeah.
What a great
great I
round.
mean, he's playing the same line he played last year, right up together with the Urethane. And he was making it look like a house shot when I was here watching yesterday. We see Scott Gilmore up on lane 22 here. Not sure how he's bowling. He said they were rough yesterday. He had to grind through it. He never really shot any high
really
scores.
consistent. Yeah,
he was
very
really
consistent. Yep.
So they will move to a different pair after this game. So you'll get a different set of bowlers after this game.
A lot of power out there today.
Yes, yes. And this is starting to be, as we're seeing, a rev rate game.
Yeah.
And we can probably credit Mark Roth for that.
He got to start. Yeah, he got to start in the 70s there. Yeah, but it's been taken to several plateaus above that now.
That's for sure. I remember, growing up in youth, the bowlers were being taught that high backswing and the Amuleto Monticelli.
Late timing.
Amuleto Monticelli release, and everybody just thought that was
and you got
the worst
Pete
thing
Weber.
ever.
And, even though they looked. It's like EJ. I mean, he's taken it to a whole new level. I mean, the power he generates, but the smoothness that he has is just, and that's what really makes the ball react smoothly. When you get that really powerful hit at the bottom, then you're looking for an awful lot of back end and some things that can cause you a lot of trouble. You'll throw a lot of strikes, but it can cause you a lot of trouble.
Yeah, the things that these guys can do with their releases to make the ball hook more or less or smooth out. I mean, read a different part of the lane.
The knowledge of the
crazy.
equipment and especially knowing how the lanes are going to change for them and how to keep up with it. Because with this kind of revolutions, the equipment, the surface is going to change quite quickly. So they've got to keep up with that as well.
Yeah, and I talked to EJ this morning, and he didn't bowl well yesterday. He actually missed the cut by 1 pin. And I noticed the ball he got out of his bag had fresh lines on it. I said, you go drill a couple balls? He's like, yep. It must be nice.
Well, it's nice, but you got to know what you're doing too. So
yeah,
that's even better.
I'm sure he did.
You would have the theory to go to that. He's explained it and shown very much so that he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And now it looks like he's not throwing one of those balls. I believe he's throwing his own ball.
Well, he's on.
You had your own ball.
Yes.
At one time.
Yeah, one time in the '90s. Yeah, the Mike Aulby MVP. Yeah.
It was a good ball.
Yeah, it was very consistent and nice shot by Scott there. EJ, I know, is at least on a double. He shredded the rack and blew the tin out on a messenger. So no worry about a messenger on that one. That was dead flush. It's funny because you see some of these events, where EJ's used to the world stage, and sometimes in a smaller stage where it's the state or whatever, you're still bowling against a lot of qualified players. And sometimes it becomes more nerve-wracking than it does, on the high end of the spectrum for as far as world talent and things like that. So sometimes it's even more challenging for somebody's talent of EJ to get in some of these fields.
Yeah, and sometimes when he doesn't bowl well, it just goes to show that anything can happen.
There's plenty of people plenty of players that can throw it well and do right do right with it and do well. And as we know. Any bowler out there knows just because you threw it good doesn't mean all 10 are going down.
Yeah.
You leave about anything on the back row once or twice at least.
And we were talking, Scott was talking earlier about how EJ's carry is just crazy, for the power he puts on the ball. He gets a lot of bad
his
breaks.
entry angle is really important.
Yeah, I feel here, with EJ the last few times they've been on TV, he either hasn't thrown the ball well or he's not carried. And
speaking of the back row, solid 9. I mean, it just
it's just stuff like that.
Yeah, because his ball is just so powerful. I mean, where his leeway for missing sometimes. I mean, we talk about missing the pocket. He's talking about missing the strike spot because it's just. I mean, we're talking fractions of an inch right there.
Right.
The scout came across and went in front of it. I mean.
And we don't see Belmo do that. It doesn't happen to him.
His ball seems to have that, where it sets up in the back to hit that spot flush, or he's going to have something throwing 2 or 3 pins at the 10 coming across.
Yeah, entry angle is important. If you can get that ball to roll in the right spot, you're going to have a good carry percentage.
Yeah. But the thing about EJ is, he continues to, you don't know it on his face. I mean, or his expressions. He's just in it and doing it. Takes his lumps and moves to the next one. And that's what you have to do.
Well, that's what you have to. Yeah. You have to have a short memory.
Yeah, it'd be easy to throw one through a window somewhere, but.
Yeah, because I think one bad break and one open where you just get so frustrated, it can ruin the rest of your block.
Yeah, I mean the way I figured it is, if you're around long enough, you'll go through everything at least twice. So you might as well just take it one at a time.
Yeah, you just got to stay focused and focus on what's important.
And doing a smart thing here, changing balls. It looks like
either change balls or. I didn't notice if he was throwing two different balls.
That was his fill shot. That was his fill shot, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he looks like he changed one to see what was going to happen. That one kind of rolled up a little earlier. So we're not bowling against each other here. We're still bowling against the whole field. You're bowling against the whole field.
Yeah.
Which makes it even harder because you don't really keep it. As a bowler, that's why you just keep your head down and get all you can get because you kind of can get caught up watching everybody else, and then it's tough to keep track of that.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're not lined up, if you can just survive and just kind of figure something out. You can get something figured out, then, man, you could really go far.
And we got one of the best promoters, Jeff Circle, and his crew here today. He continues to do a wonderful job for competitive bowling, but Indiana as well.
Yes, these guys.
And he's quite the bowler himself.
He is. Yeah, these guys do a wonderful job running the tournament, this tournament and the Masters.
Yes.
I mean, you see, squads run on time for the most part, and you get standings really quick. And you couldn't ask for a better tournament staff.
No.
So it looks like our guys with the buys are coming down here to lanes 1 and 2 to our left to start warming up. So Jeff's got this set up too to where they're using the high end of the house right now, and every time they move, they're going to move into a fresh set of lanes.
Yes, which is
keep it fair.
Which is good and bad, depending on what you like to bowl on. But it's good because they won't blow out that whole end or at one end or the other at any one time. So,
and then 5 and 6, our championship pair will be fresh. They won't be used all day.
Yeah, a lot more goes into it than just putting somebody on a pair of lanes and going. Shot on 20. It looked as good as the strike he threw the shot before that. Maybe a little more speed might have been the issue.
Yeah, one thing about running a tournament, you have to look ahead at all times, especially when you have this kind of format. You got to try to keep it fair so nobody complains. And
in bowling it's hard to do. I mean, especially with a condition that changes a lot, and the bowling balls moves the oil around, and it's not an exact science sometimes. So,
and if you don't have enough lanes to use either. I mean, what if you're limited to the number of lanes that the center gives you? Then,
do you run the oil longer, or do you put more volume? What do you do to try to hold up to that? And then it creates a whole different look for people.
Yeah.
That's why when you're at home practice and when you get a chance, you just keep moving all over the lane to figure out different angles to play, because you never know when you might need those shots.
Yeah, I use when I used to practice, I used the arrow game.
Yep.
Throw game, first arrow, second arrow, third arrow, fourth arrow.
And it's the same way knowing your equipment in your bag. I mean, you want to know how much difference there is, whether it's hooks earlier on the lane or farther down the lane, or just you want to know how they compare to each other in your bag, so you know what to go to.
Yep. And I also would try to throw a ball, because you don't have a choice of what you're bowling on as far as the lane condition.
Right.
So you get the house shot. I would try to find a ball that I know does not work on that house shot to try to make it hard for me. Because I feel like if you're bowling on something easy, you just sometimes you can get some bad habits.
And knowledge is everything. I mean, knowledge is everything. I mean, the conditions are going to change. You've got to be ready for anything. And it's tough enough when you're making a guess moving, when you got a guess on the ball and you're not sure what it's going to do either.
Right. Ooh.
Scott does a good job of getting there. It's hard when he's worried about the show and things are going down here and trying to bowl too, and it's hard enough to bowl against the best in the state when you're worried about the bowling, but when you got to worry about all the off the lane stuff too, it makes it even more difficult.
We didn't come on air right away, and he texted me. He goes, "You guys on air?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "No commentating." It's like, "Not yet. We're going to." So it's like focused on bowling. We'll handle this.
5-count washout.
We talked about.
Good shot. Missed it though.
We talked about miking him up today while he was bowling.
Right.
But we figured having two, mic packs and a cord.
Yeah,
two cords would be
kind of uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, if it was wireless, we probably would have done it.
Then you talk about adding a third dynamic into what you're thinking about too.
Yep.
Or what you don't want to say when you leave that washout like that. I used to do that, on the shows on tour. They mic everybody now. Well, back in the 80s and 90s, I mean, they gave you the option whether you wanted to be mic'd or not. So I would always know because I just didn't want to have that thought, giving me that extra thing to worry about.
Yeah.
So what they would do instead, they would put mics on the ball return. So they would be just underneath the ball return so they could pick up anything being said back there in that area. I would always find a way to stick a piece of tape over it when I was bowling, but it's just one of those things you don't need any distractions. You know?
I would feel it would be a distraction.
I understand
then.
why they have it. It adds to the telecast and all that, and I do get that. And it's great to hear some of the comments and that, But you can tell when guys or girls on the shows or whether they're saying something because they're trying to do it for effect or it's natural.
Yeah, and we've seen the cases, especially here lately, where some, F-bombs have been dropped on TV. And
yeah, those are
oops.
Do we have a 7? By the way, do we have a delay here?
Well, that's what I was surprised when that happened, that there was no delay and or they just missed it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was pretty blatant.
Maybe that was a budget cut. I don't know. Maybe that guy got axed. I don't know.
But I would think, having a microphone on, and it was probably wired back then. So you had a wire going through your shirt.
It did, all the way through, through your shirt, and the drop down, then the pack would be in your back pocket, which, it's not horribly uncomfortable while you're standing up, but when you go to sit down, then it becomes a different animal.
Yeah.
And then between frames, if you happen to get it moved or unhooked, then the camera guy had to come over, or one of the technicians had to come over and reset it, and so it become a distraction for sure.
Yeah, that can
for me anyway.
That would mess with your concentration, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I love, when they mic these guys up, listening to him with the conversations with their ball
Those
reps.
are very interesting, very interesting. Yeah, I agree. Those are totally cool. Because there is a lot. I mean, you get a lot out of those, 10 or 15 seconds with their ball rep. I mean, you get a lot out of that.
And now they don't let them talk to the ball reps between frames. You can only do it in a commercial break. So that takes a little bit away. But when they were, doing it all the time, you heard the insights as the game went on.
Well, the whole theory with the PBA for years has really changed from, coaching to no coaching to, ball reps. And, that's coaching as well because they're talking about equipment. And, and some of them are physical coaches as well.
Yeah.
So that's changed a lot. At first, on the PBA tour when I was out, starting in 79, I mean, there was a rule that when you switch pairs, I mean, you couldn't be helped by another bowler. So if you were following your roommate to the next pair, hey, how's this pair? Oh, it's took him 2 more on the left and whatever. No, that was against the rules because obviously it's an advantage for somebody who might know somebody about. But then you always have the one guy that would, I'll tell you, and they tell you the exact opposite.
Yeah.
So that's why I never asked because it was like I'll just let my ball be my guy. I'll be way ahead of the game because I would know whether it was me or the lane. Not whether it's somebody. Once again, you don't need that extra parameter added to the decision-making process.
I had that happen. I think it was at the Peterson, where.
Wait a minute. How much thinking can you do at the Peterson?
Right, but I was asking a friend. I was phone. How's this? And he told me the exact opposite, and I knew right off he was messing with me.
Yeah.
But I didn't think of it. Did it again, and he told me again. I was like, he's messing with me. I'm not going to ask him anymore. I mean, of course, Peterson's unplayable anyways,
yes,
but at least you want to know if, you don't want to put the ball on the outside because it's 60 feet of oil.
Well, see, Chad, you got to think a little ahead of that because that person is telling you. Then you go to them the next time and say, hey, you were right.
Yeah.
Now they're going, well, did I read that wrong? Now you got it. See, you've turned the table on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Peterson, I mean, I remember that one. I bowled it one time in 1983, and, I expected all the lane conditions being difficult, I mean, basically throwing a bucket of oil out there or no oil and, one lane, all that stuff. What I didn't expect was no dots or no arrows. No dots on the approaches and no arrows on the lanes. I wasn't ready for that.
I felt like that wasn't really a big deal for me. It was more the lane condition. And last couple, I didn't bowl this year, but last year, the pins were okay. They weren't off spot.
Yeah. Oh, no?
No. I think the last time I bowled before that, they were in 2016, and we had bad racks all over the place.
Yeah. Now, did you ever bowl in the original
no,
facility? So
I wanted to.
I bowled in 83. Yeah, I bowled in 83, and the Peterson, talk about, you could win some good money there. I mean, and if you average 200, my gosh, you were guaranteed $1,000, I think.
Yeah.
So in 83, I went up there with a group, and so you get there, and the building says it's condemned when you look on the door, and then you got to go up a flight of probably 30 steps or at least, and then these are steep steps, and it's got to be condemned because there's no way two people could pass each other, and you got to carry your bowling balls up there. So you get up there, and then they tell you, they'll tell you what lanes you're going to be on, but you got to have your balls checked. So they check them, and then they threw them in a grocery cart.
Mm-hmm.
And
They
so,
do that now.
yeah,
Yep.
so the grocery cart. So then they ring the gong, and these metal doors open up, and you go in, and so you go to get your equipment that's already on your pair of lanes. Well, they took out all the tape and everything you had in the ball.
Really?
Yeah. So you're totally down to starting over, and then of course the pictures that hung down were these wooden pictures. So when even me at 5'7", when you stand up on the approach, you can't see the pins.
No.
So you got that, and then I shot 225 one game, and shot 1308.
Wow.
And we did have one guy who had the front 7, and his lane broke down for 28 minutes.
Yeah, I heard they do that.
Yeah.
Well, they
Yes.
do it on purpose, but yeah, the lane
Yeah.
breakdown.
But back then they had the mixed wood. I mean, you'd hit the head pin, and it was probably a 2.5 pound pin or just under 3 or something, and it's hitting like these 4 pound pins in the back. It's like boink.
Oh,
It's just like, I mean, you just couldn't count anything. And so I mean, I remember I started on 1 and 2, and it was like they were so slick. I mean, I could see oil rooster tailing.
Wow.
I mean, it was unbelievable. And it comes back, you'd have to be careful because you
You'd
couldn't hold
drop
on to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't hold on to it. So both lanes were that slick. And I mean, I'm just trying to point it to the head pin. So I go to the next pair of lanes, and there's absolutely no oil. Not one
But
drop.
you had oil on your ball, so that would.
Well, you got to wipe it off because you couldn't carry it. So the first shot you throw, I'm in the right-hand gutter by 30 feet because I'm trying to angle it, and it's like, oh, gosh. So then the next pair you go, there's one like each. One's totally flooded, and the other one's got nothing.
Oh.
And that's left, right. Left one's tight, right one's hooking. Get to the next one, it flipped. So now the hooking lane was the left lane, and I mean, I had more gutter balls than you could. But it's one of the best lines. One guy asked the scorekeeper for a re-rack. The guy said, "What for?" The next one might be worse.
Yeah.
And so they wouldn't give re-racks.
I know in 2016 I started off on 15 and 16, shot 180 something. I'm like, oh, this isn't really bad. And then I go to 1 and 2, and I think I threw my first shot. I'm left-handed, so I threw my first shot on 1, and I got 3 on the left. So I was like, okay, I got to move in a little bit, and I got 3 on the right. So they put the reverse block out there. I think I shot 112, so reality kicked in. But then you get into those pairs where you had nothing up front or light up front, but then all the oil was in the back. So you get that
hook stop,
hook
fade.
stop, or back up in some cases.
We even had where you'd watch the ball and it looked like it was on a roller coaster. It's just they were so warped, the ball would go up and down.
Yeah.
It was quite amazing. You had to work. They had to work at it to make them that bad.
All right, so we have some scores here. No surprise. Well, maybe a little bit of surprise, but E.J. Tackett, 267. Second, Danny Clark, 255. Third, Ben Caldwell, 235. John Riffle at 230. Hunter Glaze at 224.
Wow, good scores.
Sixth place, Scott D. Johnson, 223. Chris Seyfarth at 210. With Jeff Mann at 210 in eighth. And then Zach Newman at 209. Gene Perez, 204. Zachary Cook, 200. Those are the only bowlers who are plus or plus or more.
Yeah.
Even or more. That's the top 11. 12th would be Terry Carlisle. 13th, Brent Boho. 14th, Tim Logan. 15th, Scott Gilmore. Tied with Jimmy Cook, the second. And Mark Sullivan. They all three had 179. And that would be your top 17. I believe they're down to 13. Have to double check with Jeff on that. I didn't pay attention to his announcement.
Oh, wrapped around that washout.
So we got a different group of bowlers.
One of the better players in the state there, Jeffrey Mann.
Yeah, he's definitely been fun to watch him grow up over the years.
Yeah. Mark Sullivan on 22. Mark, one of the most consistent players through the years, and just one of the nicest guys out there.
Oh, he is.
Does a great job. Wow.
Ooh. He didn't act like he liked that, but it actually hit the pocket. Kind of high flush.
He didn't miss any of it. He caught it all.
Yeah, Bill Story there on lane 22.
It's a good shot.
He was a very happy man yesterday because IU won.
Oh, wow. One, they did. I mean,
They're good.
how long will Harbaugh be in Michigan?
Yeah, you kind of wonder after his start this year.
Yeah.
Losing to who? I mean, he lost to.
Do they get to play Ohio State this year?
Oh, yeah.
That might be the only thing that saves them.
Yeah, if he beats Ohio
Yeah.
State. I mean, losing to Indiana may not, looking back on it, when this is said and done, may not have been a
Right.
surprise. You know, we'll see how Indiana does, but
Oh, big
Oh, he got
four.
the
There's
big
something you
four.
don't see every day. Yeah. Lane 20. And that's about how you have to do it, too.
It is.
You've got to
Yeah.
get some help.
yep.
Great shot, though.
And when you're bowling on something hard, that's almost like a strike.
Yeah. Good shot by Mark Sullivan. Solid 10.
Seems like Mark's in the running on everything he bowls,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Mhm.
I mean,
Well, he's just a solid physical game and mental game as well. And yeah, he probably likes them a little better when they're tougher, I would assume.
yeah. Yeah, he stays in shape, and
Yeah. And congratulations, recently married.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed that. I don't know. See what Jeff does here.
Beauty.
Shot.
A beautiful shot.
What did he have? He's in 8th with 210.
Well, those two shots looked a lot
Mhm.
better than 210.
Yeah, for sure. Once again, you're watching a round of 29. I think there's 26 bowling now. 27 bowling. Of the 2020 Indiana Scratch Classic. Here from Mike Aulby's Arrowhead Bowl. Once again, Mike, thanks for hosting.
Oh, yeah. Always enjoy it. And like I said, everybody does a great job. And thanks to you and Scott for bringing
Sure.
TV to us. And not only for us, but for the state. And, you know,
Mhm.
it's nobody else does it like you guys do.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Not around the country.
We were pretty bummed not doing anything from March till now.
Yeah.
I mean, because we had some stuff going on that we wanted to do over the summer that got canceled, and it is what it is. We'll just try to move forward.
Yep. You take each day one at a time right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're due to be on the air next Saturday for the Indiana Queens. That was the event that was canceled in March.
Yeah.
So, depending on how things go for this week,
Yeah.
we should be there.
Well, count on it. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it just looks like I think everybody's looking forward to that and seeing the best women bowlers in the state.
Yeah, it's a nice change because we do a lot of men's events and now to see the best players on the women's
Yeah.
side. When we first did that event last year, I was amazed how many good players there are in Indiana.
Well, and especially it's hard, on the ladies' side because I mean they have very few events to
Right.
to showcase their talents
Mhm.
and I mean it's kind of relegated to league or outside the state if you got to find it.
Right. And I think
Oh.
some of the ladies don't want to compete with the men.
Yeah,
honestly.
some do.
Yeah.
Some do obviously,
Some do and some don't.
But
Yeah.
it's I know. I think there was a few
Few
that tried
this
here, right?
week or this weekend, yeah. Nice shot by Bill.
Yeah,
You got a little bit lucky.
I'd take that and run those trip threes. Yeah, you can see Mark. I mean, back-to-back solid 10s, and then you try to make it fit a little bit to get in there, and then you just don't get the release you want.
Winner of this year's event gets a entry into the National Masters, the
Where-
2021 Masters.
Where's that? Where are they going to have that? Do we know yet?
It was announced.
Was it?
Yeah, I don't recall where it's at.
I mean, some of those schedules have been so up in disarray and arm, just waiting to see, let alone what state can you even go to, and then
Yeah.
is the center even open?
Yeah, and we don't even know what's going to happen with the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
all up in the air.
Yeah, they just, what was it, last week or the week before, the PWBA
Mhm.
announced.
And I hope that happens for them. They had their
They missed
tour
the whole year.
canceled.
Yeah, they missed the whole
Canceled.
year this year. Yeah.
And luckily, the PBA had some place to go to finish their season.
Well, yeah, and they put on some pretty good events. I mean, it's been they've been fortunate, and for bowling in general, just to have anything out there. And we've had a lot. Even today, there's, I believe, tonight.
Two shows, 2 and 4 o'clock.
Yeah, so we've been very fortunate.
We recommend that you guys have us on one screen and then the PBA on the other, or DVR the PBA. But yeah, we'll see who wins the $100,000 in the PBA playoffs tonight. That's been fun to watch, but it's weird because there's no fans.
And that's hard to do. I can't imagine for the bowlers it's hard to do. I mean, it's it's quiet. It's there's all sorts of things. I mean that you worry about.
I think for the viewer, it's hard to even get hyped up because I think the crowd, just like in basketball and football, the crowd has something to do with it.
Football's really interesting to watch without crowds, and I'm not sure I like the fake noise they throw in there every now and then.
Yeah,
but I understand it.
It makes it better. Now the NBA this year, the bubble.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was that much difference. They did put in some of the crowd noise and the effects and stuff.
You didn't.
So watching it, you didn't
it
feel
didn't
like
pull your attention to it. Yeah.
Yeah. You felt like that.
Even hockey was kind of funny because they, when there's a good check or something, whoever was pushing the buttons,
they did a good job. I heard that.
Yeah, they had it together. Yeah, it was quite amazing.
I saw a lot of people saying, "I want that job."
Yeah, that would be fun.
Well, I know the PBA tried to put in some crowd noise.
Yeah.
It sounded like maybe crowd noise from Bayside. Since that's
a good place to get it from.
Yeah,
that'd be a good place.
It's almost like you got to make do with what you got.
Yeah, I think that one thing you can say, about this year, I mean, anybody that's had any kind of event, you're trailblazing. I mean, there's nothing to tell you what to do. So you can see people are adapting. I mean, the associations have adapted, and from what they started out to something different at the end, and
Well, I know our association here, you guys hosted the Senior City Tournament. I thought I read you had record turnout.
Well, I think one thing we found out is, once we were able to open, there was it's kind of three segments. You have people who are bowlers, but they really don't really want to come out yet to experience anything. And then you have people in the middle of the road that want to come out and are going to try it, but they want to make sure the facility they're at or the whole atmosphere is safe for them and for everybody else. And then you've got some hardcore bowling people, and this probably fits in everything.
Sure.
That they're just coming one way or the other.
Yeah.
And they're going to protect themselves how they protect, but they're coming.
Yeah.
And so, as a business owner, whether it's a bowling center or what, you have to play to all three of those. So, visually you have to do the right things to show the people that you mean business, and the place is going to be sanitized and cleaned and social distance and as best you can and within the parameters that the states have given you.
Sure.
So, and then the other thing you have to worry about is, we open mid-June. You got to make sure your staff doesn't get into a lull and doesn't do as good as they did that first week.
Right.
Because it's very important that we all keep this up. And this is going to
be long-term, so
you
got to stay consistent.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I think with your facility here, it's roomy, so people feel.
Yeah, and most bowling centers are. And that's the thing. Bowling has really got across the country in some states is not being treated fairly.
Right.
When you look at square footage, bowling can spread out better than a lot. California, New York, some of them there's so much more square footage, but yet they let other businesses that aren't anywhere near that.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate,
And Michigan was that way for a long time.
Illinois has been that way. California still is.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just
how
like I said, it's so hard. Yeah, it's going to be very, and some unfortunately across the country have not. I mean, have been unable to, whether as you know, I mean, whether you own your own property or you lease it, there's still a bill every month.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're not open, that bill, the banks or your landlord are probably not going to have too much leeway for you.
Right, and we saw here in our city here,
Yes,
Lafayette, we had
that's
a center closed, and
a Staple's been in
70
Lafayette
years.
for a long
this has
time,
been
and
70 years.
and run by some wonderful people, good bowling people. It's just any other time they wouldn't they'd still be here.
Sure.
It's
sure.
just this is something sometimes, the pandemic's something we can't explain to what we need to do to keep everybody going, business-wise and all that. So it's just hard.
Right.
It's just hard.
And for you viewers who are watching, the Lafayette Open is usually at Mustang Alley, and they closed down just a couple months ago, right before the bowling season started, and so the Lafayette Open will not happen this year because of that. But we're in talks of planning, for 2021, and hopefully that works out and we can bring it back, bigger and better than ever.
Well, we're fortunate that obviously Scott and you guys want to continue that on, which is great for all of us. We want that to happen, and when we do lose a staple, of a community like a bowling center or the one here Mustang Alley, I mean, there's customers that they have that may not continue bowling.
Yeah,
and it's bad for all of us. Whether it's a situation here in Lafayette or if it's in California, wherever, anytime, because a bowling center is a community asset. I mean, it's something that's either been there a long time or kids, recreational. It's just a shame. I mean, it really is.
And with bowling, I think a lot of people get used to where they're bowling out, and it's almost like an emotional tie, where if it didn't exist, they don't want to bowl anywhere else. Not that they don't like maybe bowling here or at our other center in Lafayette. They just love that place, and they just,
Well, bowling's totally different than most businesses and sports, to where, you get to know the counter people, the concourse, who's cleaning up, the managers, the pro shop people. It's like I said, it's like a barber shop used to be in the older days. You know everybody, the stories, and you feel comfortable there. And it's not like going into a Target somewhere. They're all the same somewhere else. Bowling centers have their own personalities.
That's right. That's right. Fortunately, I think a couple of their leagues did come over here.
Yeah, we were fortunate to have some people come to us, and I assume Market Square did. And so I mean that's the key, because we don't want to lose the bowlers.
No, and that's what I was saying all along. If they were going to close, I hope that the bowlers go somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And they just don't stop bowling.
Yeah, it's just forces that are unforeseen, and just, I mean, it's hard to meet that challenge, especially when you can't open.
Right.
I mean, when you can't open, you can't open.
So it looks like they're getting near the end of this game. So once this round is over, we'll go off the air, and then we'll come back on with the next round. It'll either be me and Mike again, or Mike and Scott.
Hopefully Scott had a good second game, hopefully.
Yeah, I know he likes bowling down there at the high
Does
end
he?
better than this end. Because with the, you guys put the 10 in lanes in him, this end plays a little bit tighter than the high end, just because of the newness of the surface. So.
You have to remember, they still are almost 20 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
We saw some strikes on these pairs, though. I'll tell you what. There's some pretty good shots. I don't know what Jeffrey Mann had, but he looked like he was hitting the pocket pretty darn good.
Oh, right.
And obviously EJ had 267 or something, I believe.
Yeah, and he just has to.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Yeah,
you just have to fill frames.
Yeah, you got to be careful doing that. When you just start filling frames, you got to make sure you're giving it your all.
It does make you relax a little bit, knowing that you've got that cushion.
Sometimes you think, I'll take 200, and then it's 170.
Yeah.
and then you're like, uh-oh. Yeah, you got to be careful. But all these guys look pretty young, so I don't think that's what they really need to worry about.
Me, I'm just bowling, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. That's like they never told you, hey, you only need 8, just shoot for 8. Well, when you shoot for 8, it's usually 7 or less. I learned real well about that one time.
Yeah, or just keep it on the lane, and pick up a spare and then you leave a split.
Well,
I mean,
it's funny, yeah, because even on tour, I mean, on TV, it's like, I only need this or that. Well, when you start thinking that way, I mean, it's. I remember the Masters, my first Masters in '89. I needed a mark in a tenth. Well, I flagged a head pin, left a 136. I thought, So then I get it, but I barely touched the head pin.
oh,
and got the spare, and it's like, okay, not thinking that way anymore. I've been on tour for 19 years, and it's like, okay, I'm done with that thought process.
and that's a spare that you don't want to.
No, there's so many ways you can miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many ways you can miss that. There's nothing like getting 10.
All right, so it looks like this round is over. We're going to go ahead and go off the air. We'll be back here in just a few minutes. So stay tuned for the next round. And it looks like we'll probably have a couple of different pairs we'll be able to show you then. So stay tuned here from